Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject is about some of the pain you experience when you spiritually wake up from the Matrix. For me, one of the first things that my ancestors and angels had pointed out was some of the bad behavior, or what they consider to be a sin in the Matrix, and how I may have negatively influenced some of my friends and families to go to the dark side. So the first thing that they taught me is how to undo that, how to, quote, make up for your sins, unquote. Now this will depend greatly from person to person, and you have to be very, very careful with this, because a lot of people in the dark side of the Matrix right now are accusing good people of what they're doing. So in the other videos I explained how some of the 7 major sins work and some of the other minor sins work. And for the most part, angels don't care if you slip or make a mistake. They care when you start to will damage on other people. Now, a lot of good people who realized that they were just having a lot of fun and didn't realize that they were hurting one person or another will go back to undo that damage, only to find that that person had actually willed that damage to be placed upon them, so they can blame the individual who committed the so-called sin and say, "You owe me," very unjustifiably. This is what one of the biggest problems with being patient in the Matrix is. Once you've cleared your own psyche, to go back to your family and friends to try to clear any misunderstandings or communications or sins or whatever with those people, can be a real headache, especially when they're unwilling to listen to what you've done. Now, I've done this and I find it really amusing. Some of the things my ancestors practice are not considered necessarily a sin in this world, but they can influence people the wrong way. Some of these issues, my ancestors and what we practice, are in direct conflict for what is practiced into this world, but we both understand each other very well. Now, having said that, if you are planning on undoing the damage you've caused others, including yourself, within the Matrix, I suggest you take this step by step and go through your own psyche first before you attempt to try to undo any damage with anyone else. If you do it this way, you'll be less likely to be hooked by the insanity of people who refuse to grow up. People who are trying to make up for their sins realize they want to grow up. They want to get out of the Matrix. They don't find it useful to be in the Matrix anymore, and they want to move on to something else. Totally understandable. Now, the angels do insist that you make up for any mistakes you might have made in this life, or any other life for that matter, before you can leave the Matrix. But on the other hand, once you've freed from those burdens, it's worth it. This is one of the reasons the angels have informed me that the reason the dark side of the Matrix game is taking so long to end is because many souls are still being tested. Many souls are still wanting to make up for their past mistakes in order to move forward. And to do that, everybody had to be pulled back to the darkest of the inferno that you could go, which is unbearable for all of us who've just had enough of these crazy souls. And they know very well that humanity is getting very impatient with the very dark, corrupt beings. On the other hand, they would point out that you may have someone in your family or within your friends that wants to get out of the Matrix just like you do. And the angels can't shut down the dark side of the Matrix suddenly without making sure that everyone has been pretty much tested. Now, there are going to be some people who are going to come back to the Matrix who are not corrupt just to undo their game at a later time. But most people at this time want to finish their bad karma, so to speak, in order to move on to the transition. And this requires enormous amount of patience. So what can you do? When you realize the mistakes you've made in this life, is go back and look to each family member and see if you had influenced them one way or another because you want to go straight, so to speak. You want to leave the matrix. You want to grow up. And more likely than not, you're going to find out that they're still part of the matrix, and anything you say, they just won't listen to you. And if they react, like I said in the previous video, like they're holier than thou, or they say things that really support authoritarianism and not humanity, you'll know that you're just wasting your time. Give up. Like I've said in the other videos, the egotists, the ones who've sold out, you're wasting your time. You can't undo them. Nobody can. Even the angels can't. And they know this. That's why they toss them into the inferno forever. That's why they break some of them, because they know that nobody can do anything with them. Nobody cares for them. They're gone. But it's the ones that are in between the souls, the higher souls, and the dark ones, the ones that are still struggling, the ones that realize they want to get out. They've had enough. Those are the ones that are being tested. And again, you don't have to be perfect. The angels don't care if you're not perfect. They just want to see that you did your best, that you tried to undo your damage. You want to move forward. Because once you will that, there will be an ancestor or an angel or somebody who's well trained in this area to come along and teach you how to do that. You just have to will it. And you can't fake it. Everybody knows it. You really have to will to move forward in order for anything to happen in your life in that regard. Now, if you have any questions on specific ways of undoing damage or recognizing people you can't help and those that you can help, please leave it in the comments section below, and I'll give you as many ideas that I had heard while I was on the other side, and you may want to look into them. Now, a lot of good people don't realize that some of the mistakes they made in life wasn't willed by them as an individual, but was actually displaced on them. And this is why a lot of people say, the devil made me do it. So think as carefully as you can about the question you want to ask, and I'd be happy to help in any way that I can. And I wish you the best of luck. It's a really rough game, and it takes a lot of time and patience. But sooner or later, your psyche will figure it out. Oh, this person's gone, I can't help them. Oh, I can still do something for this one, and so on and so forth. Once you get there, it's a lot more fun. And you'll know that you got there because you'll start acting like you did when you were a child. You don't have all these negative thoughts in you. You just want to play and enjoy life. And you'll immediately notice it's the other people who are trying to pull you down. Well, that's all I have for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for listening.